Hey everybody, this is Kara,
And this is Ed.
and this is your day's dumpster fire.
I like how I raised my hand like halfway through the song. I'm just trying to mute my microphone so I can take a drink of water, and instead I just raise my hand.
Got it. I thought you were trying to ask a question.
No. I was just trying to ruin everything because, well, you know.
If it makes you feel better, I've done that before and then taken a drink of water and then realized I was not muted. And then I was like, well, that's going to be edited out at some point.
Believe it or not, I actually don't hear that because you actually have a microphone that works right. Whereas, like, whenever I'm trying to take a drink of water, all you can hear is just all this rumbling and crap in the background. So yeah, it's
Fair enough.
guys, the amount of expertise you have to put into creating an intro, I think, is like the hardest part of creating a podcast.
Yeah, I can see that.
Just trying to get stuff to work.
Just making it work is the hard part.
Now, thankfully, we have a show that's all about failing. And so whenever we don't have a good intro or whatever, we don't have anything that works right,
it's on brand.
That's content.
That's right.
So yeah, like we are kind of in the middle of a really weird time because we just got done recording a special episode about the Manhattan Project, about Robert J. Oppenheimer, and kind of like how this guy was a bit of a weirdo, but you know, he's a brilliant mind in his own right. And
brilliant weirdo.
Yeah, you know what? It takes all sorts.
That's right.
Yeah, no, he tried to kill two people, one by poisoning and one by choking, but, you know, once you look past that, he's perfectly normal, other than the fact that he cheated on his wife multiple times with his former girlfriend, and then he kind of built a bomb, or a couple of bombs, that killed like 200,000 people, and he kind of created a nuclear core for another bomb that was never used, and that core ended up killing 2 more people. It's but yeah, once you look past all that, it's fine.
It's a good time.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's a good time.
Yeah, I mean, you can roast marshmallows, you're good to go.
Yeah, it's history, baby.
So yeah, we get a special episode coming up because Kara and myself, we are huge history nerds. We like to study things that go boom.
Correct.
And so yeah, we actually have a special episode that we are currently working on that will focus on like a large part of Oppenheimer's kind of like his professional life, and then we are looking at the Manhattan Project and how that kind of got going, and ultimately what happened to some of the byproducts that came out of that program, all which I'm hoping to release on or before Friday the 21st, when Christopher Nolan's movie Oppenheimer comes out.
Woo! I'm excited.
Yeah, no, because and the reason why I'm excited for this is because and this is my trash can fire.
All right.
And I'm putting this on the record now. This is my trash can fire.
All right.
As you know, you and I used to work together, and you and I have both like interviewed and all that kind of stuff, and we got passed up for promotion. A lot of times because there's people that were more qualified or skillful. And then there was other times that these people, well, let's just say they knew what they were doing. to get to certain positions. So, yeah, we'll just go with that. But
We'll leave it at that. Yeah.
yeah. But the thing is that in all these interviews that I've had, and I don't know if you've had the same question asked, it was always, "Hey, name somebody that you look up to." And so for like the first interview, I I said, well, okay, a guy that I kind of look up to was Robert J. Oppenheimer. And that literally blew up in my face. That kicked me out of every chance of promotion or anything.
But why do you think that is?
Because I don't know.
Okay.
But maybe because, hey, look, Robert J. Oppenheimer, he really did contribute to creating one of the most horrific weapons known to mankind. He created a weapon, or helped create, or led a team to create a weapon that straight up was used in an act of war against like 100 to 200,000 men, women, and children in Japan. So I get that. I really do. I understand that the ethics behind the nuclear bomb being dropped in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And we will discuss this in the episode, the special episode that we are going to be releasing. We will kind of look at and skirt around the fact that you and I are not qualified to determine the ethics of implementing such a weapon.
Mm-hmm.
Like, let's face it, if I was told, hey, you've got to drop this bomb, what do you want to do? I honestly have no idea what I would do in that situation. So what I was focusing on is that we have a scientist, Robert J. Oppenheimer, who is this guy, he was a theoretical physicist. He studied quantum mechanics. He made advancements in astrophysics and astroquantum physics and planar molecular, all sorts of really, really fancy terms. Like this guy, he really contributed to all of that. He also knew multiple different languages. He was a huge theologian. He studied British and American literature. Like, yeah, and a lot of the people that he brought on to his little Manhattan project were like former students, but also straight up direct competitors to what he was working on at any given time.
Okay.
And that's why I respect the guy, because he had the ability to go up to these guys and be like, "Hey, look, you and I disagreed fundamentally. We've had some really, really heated arguments, but you're a really good brain and you have something to offer." And then he would go to the next guy and he's like, "Hey, look, you're one of the finest minds I know. Your field of expertise, X, Y, and Z, is unmatched. And I would hope that you would forget the fact that I tried to hook up with your sister. But the thing is that we really need you in the project." And so, yeah, Robert J. Oppenheimer, I kind of look up to the guy because he took a group of people who were legit physicists, the most brilliant minds in America, if not in the world, and he somehow got them together to work on this project to create this weapon. And then after it was detonated, like 10 plus years later on, yeah, he went on like live television and he's like, "I'm the destroyer of worlds. I've created this horrific weapon." And so like that's what we've got coming up as a as like a kind of like a bonus episode because of the Christopher Nolan movie coming out. Christopher Nolan, if you're listening, we do have sponsorships open.
Shouts.
Just reach out to us. I mean, we can probably work something out in the range of hundreds of thousands of dollars. So just let us know. We can squeeze you in down the road. Like, yeah, if you want to do like a 20-second clip, kind of like a Super Bowl type of thing, yeah, we can squeeze you in. Yeah. No, hit us up on Instagram. and even Facebook, just reach out. We will be more than happy to plug you a future episode. In fact, we will even do 2 plugs in 2 episodes.
Oh, that's a treat.
Yeah, that's literally dozens of dollars of ticket sales coming your way.
Yeah, there you go. All right. So
But yeah, the real trash can fire of that all is just like, yeah, no, we don't understand. We don't think you're a good fit. It's you're not reading the audience of the interview properly. And then just recently, I had another interview with an educational institute, and I mentioned that, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, that is the most profound answer that we could ever hope for." Like that is so well thought out. That is amazing. And yeah, so
all the props.
yeah, like even though that I felt like I delivered a good answer before, but I was off touch, I wasn't accounting for the people that would be offended by the absolute horrific destruction of what this weapon created, and I'm not denying that in the slightest bit. I will never deny that. It is the most horrific thing that ever came about. But when we look at the guy who had to kind of put all that together, like, we kind of have to respect what he did. And we
Slap the
also,
shoulder as a human.
yeah, and we do have to kind of condemn him for how excited he was when this thing worked and all that kind of stuff. But 2 things can be true at once. That's the one thing I'm really discovering about our little dumpster fire podcast, is that 2 things can be true at once. On one hand, somebody can absolutely fail miserably, but then on the other hand, that was a stepping stone that made him or her the most influential person of that time. But conversely, we can look at somebody who is highly regarded, highly respected, like in this case, Oppenheimer. He was the most brilliant mind of his time, even more so than Einstein in a lot of respects. But then he also created something so horrible and so terrifying, and the world is still kind of reeling in its implications. So I don't know if it's a trash can fire. I don't know if it's a dumpster fire. I don't know if it's a landfill fire or a tire fire. I don't know what it is. But the fact is that I went with my guns. I thought I gave the right answer. It blew up in my face. But then a few years later, it worked out.
Yeah.
So yeah, and that's the thing, is you learn from your dumpster fires, and that's the one major thing, is like, are these people that we talk about in history, are they learning from their hot messes? And yeah, if they do learn from it, awesome. It's a dumpster fire, but you know what? Dumpsters are replaceable.
Unless it's a 3,000-year-old artifact.
That's a beautiful segue into the into our upcoming episode, because the last episode we looked at the genetic train wreck that was King Tutt.
Yeah.
Yeah, this guy, who knows if he was good or bad?
We don't.
Yeah. Well, I mean, hey,
know.
look, if you're just joining us for this episode, you might want to go back and listen to the last episode, because we've got like a 9-year-old boy with like a club foot who had like 200 canes, take over an entire kingdom and try to fix everything that his dad screwed up.
Yep.
And then he died like 10 years later.
Accurate. Yeah.
Yeah, and on all of his chromosomes looked exactly alike. His family tree looked like the Olympic symbol.
That's about right.
And so yeah, like with that whole episode, yeah, go back. What are we on? What are we on? 16. So what 16. Is it? 16 or 15?
It'd be 15.
Yeah, so go listen to episode 15, because Kara went into a great amount of detail about this King Tut, this new kingdom era, like this is supposed to be the heyday of the Egyptian empire. It didn't quite work out so well because
he died.
well, he died, but his dad also was like, hey, look, I know for the past 2,000 years, we've all been adhering to this one religion. Well, guess what? You can just forget about that.
Yeah, that's true. He did do that.
Yeah, don't worry about it. In fact, don't worry about it to the point where if you are worrying about it, we will kill you.
Yeah, he did do that. That's true.
But the thing is though, like, we never had a chance to go in to like how like the discovery of King Tut's tomb is a bit of a dumpster fire in its own right.
Yeah, sure is. I feel for the guy.
Yeah, so like what we want to do is normally we try to have one episode like, hey, Kara's gonna be predominantly the expert, and or in the next episode Ed will be, well, whatever the heck he is, and we kind of alternate. But in this episode, it's going to be a half and half.
Yeah, we're gonna try to do a twofer situation.
Yeah. So you're going to go into, and correct me if I'm wrong, you're going to go into how this tomb was discovered, or how it tried to be discovered and everything. And then I'm going to go into, let me get my notes here. I'm going to go into like the different strategies that these ancient Egyptians went through to try to prevent tomb robbing, and including an entire city that was built for the sole purpose of preventing this whole thing, and it blows up in everybody's face.
Oh yeah.
So
good times all around.
All right. Yellow fever. Let's go.
Here we go. Oh, and just so I want to keep my promise. Today my name on our software is Asthmatic Tomb Raider.
I saw that.
I just wanted to note that before I forgot.
Yeah, Laura Inhaler.
Oh, that's a good one. I like that. Okay. All right. So we are going to time jump a little bit to 1922. So King Tut's tomb was discovered in 1922 in the Valley of the Kings. It was founded by archaeologist Howard Carter and his benefactor Lord Carnarvon. Howard Carter is now currently very renowned and respected for his work in Egypt. He was born in Britain in May of 1874. And he showed a lot of promise of an artist as a child. His dad was an artist. His mom was a super smart lady. I don't remember what she did, but I just remember that his dad was an artist. At 17, Carter was hired by the Egypt Exploration Fund to assist the Amherst family, who happened to also be family friends of theirs, in replicating Egyptian art at a tomb that they were excavating and recording. So at 17, he flew to Egypt and he started recreating Egyptian graffiti on the tombs. So he would recreate all of the artwork and the hieroglyphs and all of those fun things. And he did that for a while. In 1892, he worked under the tutelage of Flinders Petrie for one season in Amarna, the capital founded by Pharaoh Akhenaten. Okay, yeah, so that's our friend. And also King Tut's suspected father, which is ironic.
Well, yeah, like this guy kind of like planted the seeds. This is the pharaoh, not Mr. Carter. Like the pharaoh himself, he
messed things up.
Really, yeah, he
did a number.
He divided Egypt a lot.
He did a big number on, oh goodness, Egyptian culture. Sorry.
It's really hard to edit to make it not sound like.
Oh, everybody can know that's a yawn. I'm yawning at myself at this point.
I mean, it's 9:15 at night.
I'm old.
I'm 40.
I'm 30.
I've had to pee 2 times since this episode has started.
Oh boy. Fair enough.
But yeah, it was this Amagaten guy. He really threw a giant rock into a still pond and created a lot of ripples.
Yeah, he sure did. It was bad.
Yeah.
From 1894 to 1899, Carter worked with an Edward Naville at the tomb of Hatshepsut And Hatshepsut is one of the queen pharaohs. You should look her up. She's awesome. In 1899, Carter was appointed Inspector of Monuments for Upper Egypt in the Egyptian Antiquities Service. So he oversaw a number of excavations and restorations at Thebes and in the Valley of the Kings. He also supervised the exploration of the valley by the American archaeologist Theodore Davis. So that guy is also very famous for his archaeological finds in Egypt. So for the most part, up and up on his career. He was doing good work. He was recreating. He was learning the ropes about excavating and archaeology and all of these fun things. Unfortunately, in 1902, Carter was falsely accused of unprofessional dealings by an angry antiques dealer at Luxor. The statements were of compliance with other antiquity dealers and local tomb robbers, and this man charged Carter with illegally assisting E. Wallace Budge, a British museum keeper of Egyptian and Assyrian antiquities, who was looking to add in various ways Egyptian antiquities for his museum collection. So, in a nutshell, Carter was accused of illegally collecting items for this guy's museum, and this guy had the reputation of just getting whatever he could to put things in it.
And this was a huge issue at this time. At this time, because I studied like the whole tomb robbing thing and everything. Like, it was even more rampant in a lot of respects, where people all over the world, like in America or Europe or whatever, they had a lot of excess money and they were willing to spend whatever money they could on these artifacts. And I feel like that's one of the reasons why Tutankhamun's tomb was so famous, because it was in the Valley of the Kings. There's over 65 different pharaohs buried there, but like his was the last one that nobody could find.
That's how Carter found it. He basically used process of elimination using maps and things, and he's worked in the Valley of the Kings before.
Yeah.
So he knew the area fairly well, and he kind of knew where to look.
Well, and when we look at, unprofessional dealings by an angry antiquities dealer at Luxor, Luxor was actually Thebes back in the day.
Yeah.
And and just remember that, because when we get to my segment, there's going to be some talk about Thebes, not thieves, but Thebes and Thebes kind of go hand in hand.
Yeah, that's fair.
So yeah, no, it's there was a lot of stuff going on at that time of just rampant pillaging and trying to just pull whatever they could out Egypt at that time, because, well,
there wasn't much to find.
Well, and white Europeans.
There is that too. So he kind of got stuck in the middle of that. Mainly he was pulled into it. He wasn't really robbing tombs or anything like that.
Yeah.
In 1904, he got into another dispute with local people over tomb thefts, and he was transferred to the Inspectorate of Lower Egypt. So they basically transferred him down south to kind of get away from all of that.
Okay.
In 1905, another incident happened. This one's fairly famous if you know the story. Another incident happened in which some drunk French guys got super rowdy and wanted to see some of the tombs. So they got drunk, like super drunk in their hotel. They were like, hey, let's go see some tombs. And they drunkenly walked over, and they were asked to pay entry fees, and a few of them refused to do it. And they were, this is from, this account is from Carter's personal journals, and I guess they forced their way through, and then they started demanding candles upon entry, and candles were not provided. Obviously, I feel like it's an obvious thing. Like, you can't have candles down into those tombs because the air can be poisonous or sickly, and it can cause explosions and
on top of that, the just the smoke and everything that comes out of that is just horrifically detrimental to the hieroglyphs and whatnot.
Yeah, it's just not good. It's not good. And so the local people who were working there, they refused to give them candles. They didn't even have candles to get them. And these drunk guys got mad, and a violent fight happened, and it ended up with the drunk guys locking themselves into like a little rest area shack situation off to the side.
Jeez.
So, for some reason, they sent Howard Carter over to kind of resolve the issue, and that ended up with more fighting and all kinds of issues. Eventually, the drunk guys left, but Carter got in trouble because he told the local guys to protect themselves as opposed to having fabulous customer service. Like, oh, customer's always right. He was like, no, you need to protect yourselves and keep yourself safe. So
Oh,
Carter got in
Lord.
big trouble, and his reputation was going down the drain, and eventually he resigned. He was like, I'm done. He officially resigned after that.
I feel like that was just like the straw that broke the camel's back.
Yeah. So if you kind of look at it chronologically, his name was, driven through the mud because people were accusing him and all of these things, and like he's like, bro, I'm just trying to dig.
Yeah, I'm just trying to dig a hole, guys.
He's like, I just want to see the pretty paintings.
I'm just trying to pull some dead bodies out of a hole in the side of a canyon.
Yeah.
That's all I'm trying to do.
It's not that hard.
Yeah, I'm not trying to sell it. I'm just trying to figure out who's actually here. But I feel like he was kind of the let's see. For the lack of better words, I feel like he was what everybody turned to when there was an issue.
Mm-hmm.
Because he knew so much. He knew what the scope and sequence of this work that was going on. Like, he understood it. And so whenever there was a bunch of drunk Frenchmen or Americans or Britons or Germans or whatever, everybody was like, hey, Carter, you're one of them. Go fix this. And I feel like he got tired of it.
Yeah. So yeah. No, 100% correct. Yeah. Eventually, when he did resign, he tried to do a lot of freelance work still in Egypt. And in 1909, he was introduced to a Mr. Lord Carnarvon. Carnarvon was a very fancy lord in Britain with lots of money, and he had a castle, which the castle mansion situation that he lived in is actually the same building that they used to film not Bridgerton. What's the other one?
Braveheart?
Nope, not Braveheart. Oh, it's gonna bother me. Hold on, I'll look it up.
Jane Eyre?
No, not Jane Eyre. It's a TV show.
Red Dwarf.
What? I don't even know what that is.
You've never seen Red Dwarf?
No.
Oh, okay.
We're gonna have to Downton Abbey. Downton Abbey. That's the one.
Oh, okay.
Downton Abbey. He lived in that building.
Slightly different. There's a very minuscule difference between Red Dwarf, which takes place between two absolutely useless human beings in a spaceship 2 million years into the future, and Downton Abbey.
It's a little different.
It's slightly different. I'm absolutely shocked that you have not read the books or seen the show from the late 80s, early 90s. It's a masterwork.
Okay.
I have no idea what that has to do with any sort of castle in the middle of England, but
okay, I'll read it.
Howard Carter, let's go.
Okay, anyway. So that's Lord Carnarvon. Carnarvon.
Oh, yeah.
Lord Carnarvon. And he also happened to be a very huge fan of Egyptology and history and culture and all those fun things. So he did attempt to excavation of the Valley of the Kings before he met Carter, and he failed at them horribly. So he decided that he needed to find somebody who knew what they were doing. He was introduced to Carter and offered Carter a steady job, which was exactly what Carter needed at the time. It was just meant to be.
Yeah. Hey, I need to dig a hole, and you're the guy who can dig a hole.
And the guy's like, I just suddenly have a lot of free time on my hands.
Yeah, so I can deal with a lot of holes right now, so sign me up. This.
Yeah. So Carter had a quote-unquote feeling, it was really an educated guess, that there was still an unexcavated tomb in the Valley of the Kings. He knew this by process of elimination. He knew the valley well. He had a whole map and where the excavations were. They also had some artifacts that they found with King Tut's name on it that was found near the tomb-ish. There's some huts that they dug up and they found those and then they left them. We'll get to that. But they did find some artifacts with King Tut's name on it, so they knew he was there somewhere, and then by process of elimination, Carter had a general understanding of the area in which he was. So after digging around Egypt, the pair finally gained permission to dig in the Valley of the Kings in 1914. Originally, before 1914, there was another guy who was in charge of the Valley of the Kings. Totally forgot his name. I'm so sorry. But right before this guy died, he gave them permission and all kinds of rights to dig and excavate there. But what happened in 1914? World War I started.
Yeah, that Franz Ferdinand guy, he just ruined it for us all.
Yeah,
Like,
right?
he had to get assassinated.
It was all his fault. It took 5 years to get permission to dig in the Valley of the Kings. and, and
Was
then
that all?
and World War I started.
Yeah, it's just paperwork. It's fine.
It's fine.
The half the world's on fire, but just fill out this form in triplicate and make sure you sign line B and get it notarized. Make sure God signs it. You need the president of Uganda to sign it, and then after that, it's good. After you get these other signatures.
Yep,
It's
that's exactly
very
what
British.
it was. Yeah, government.
Yeah.
So, Carter spent the war years working for the British government as a diplomatic courier and translator. Carnarvon actually turned his, if I remember correctly, I'm going off the brain here. Carnarvon turned his fancy mansion house castle thing into a hospital for British soldiers, which I thought that was kind of cool.
That falls in line with Downton Abbey.
Mm-hmm. So okay,
and
cool.
Red
So that
Dwarf.
sounds right. Okay, so that all sounds right, including the weird book I've never heard of. So we're going to fast forward through the war to 1917, and they're finally back to digging. And when they started digging, they found some huts near another tomb that was already excavated. And for some reason that nobody knows except for Carter, is they stopped digging there and went to go dig somewhere else. And then they didn't find anything for another 5 years.
Whoa, wait. So, okay. Okay. I can understand, like, hey, bro, we've been digging here for like a week and we haven't found anything. Can we go dig over there? Sure.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're like, man, we can't find anything here. Can we dig somewhere else? Yes. 5 years later.
So
let's
if it
try over here.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me put it into some context, though. The way they did their excavation is it was seasonal. So they would start digging in, I think, November, and then they would stop digging in like February or March.
Yeah, because it's like 120 degrees out.
Yeah. So 5 seasons. I mean, technically 5 years, but really 5 seasons of that.
They're archaeological snowbirds.
Yeah, that's exactly right. All right. So after the war, Carnarvon especially started to get hit economically. For example, taxes really skyrocketed. They went from 6% to 60%. And by 1922, his funds were running dangerously low for excavations. Like, he was at the point where he could not afford it. And naturally, after 5 seasons, he was ready to stop and wave the white flag and throw in the towel or the napkin or whatever you want to do.
The loincloth, just waving it around out there.
Throw it. Like, I'm done.
Yeah, he brought the brown loincloth. All right, here we go. Wave that around.
Nasty. In the Egyptian desert with all that man sweat.
Oh.
Gross.
Just all that gravy.
Ugh.
Yeah.
All right, so Carter convinced Carnarvon for one more season. Just one more. And in the early 1900s, the Valley of the Kings was a wild time. So
I feel like it was kind of like the Wild West. Like, everybody was there just digging up crap left and right, destroying everything.
Yeah, it's true.
Almost kind of like the first Mummy movie.
Yeah.
Brendan Fraser had it right all from the beginning.
We love Brendan.
Yes.
Shouts to Brendan Fraser.
Yes.
Carter convinced Carnarvon for one more season in 1922. And in the early 1900s, just to give you a picture of what the Valley of the Kings looked like, it looked like a quarry, covered with piles of stones, dirt, left by previous excavators. A couple of accounts say that some of these stone piles were like 30 feet high. And Carter had all of the intention and job to clear tens of thousands of tons of rock and stone just to dig through a layer of ancient flood debris all the way down to the bedrock, okay? So this is what he did for 5 years. He cleared all of this rock, 30 feet high, tons of rocks, and dug through ancient flood debris and got all the way down to the bedrock just to find either nothing or to hope to find something. And sometimes they found things and sometimes they didn't, and most of the time they didn't. That's what we're working with.
I feel kind of bad because there has to be a great deal of that rubble and the rock and everything. I bet a lot of that was leftover debris
Yeah.
from the past couple thousand years
Yeah.
of grave robbers and tomb robbers and all that, just ransacking the area.
Yep, that's exactly what it was.
Oh,
Yeah.
man, that's
So,
brutal. The fact that we have the 65 or 70 tombs that we have today is impressive. I can only imagine what it must have been like before everybody started robbing all the tombs from day one.
right. Probably would have been really cool. And
Yeah,
empty.
in theory.
We would like to think so. So here's a fun fact that I just thought was interesting. To remove all this nonsense, he borrowed a railway track from the antique service, and with trucks, they pushed along the rails by hand. So by the truck full of rocks, they would just push these rail carts by hand to get all of these rocks and stuff out. Sounds exhausting.
Why? What
Yep.
is it with Egyptian history and everything just being like hard manual labor?
Because it's Egyptian history.
But I mean, the ancient Egyptians had aliens, like they had
But the
flying
aliens
saucers
left.
and all that.
The aliens left. I'm totally kidding, by the way.
Yeah,
That is
same
sarcasm.
here.
That's sarcasm.
Yeah, we know it was the reptilians.
Oh boy.
Well, we just lost half our listenership, so
I tried to save it.
it was great knowing you.
All right. Carter returned to the Valley of the Kings and investigated a line of huts that he had abandoned a few seasons earlier. As I said before, the crew cleared the huts and rock debris beneath it. And in the crew, you have your water boys. Okay? And the water boy jars, they look like just big jar vases, but they have round bottoms on them. So what the water boys would do is they would get off of their beast of burden, whether it's a donkey or a horse or whatever they were riding, and they dig a little hole, and then they put the jar in there, right, to keep it from falling over.
Yeah.
So our one water boyfriend, I forgot his name, and I'm so sorry, but our one famous water boyfriend, he accidentally stumbled onto a stone when he was going through this routine on November 4th, 1922, and that stone ended up being the top flight of some steps that cut into bedrock. So, did what any good water boy would do and alerted the proper authorities, and Carter had the steps partially dug out until the top of a mud plaster doorway was found by the end of the day. He found that there was a mud plastered doorway. The doorway was stamped with a bunch of cartouches, and you could just make out the name of King Tutt. And before they started to dig through that, Carter actually called Carnarvon out with like a telegraph or whatever they did in 1922. And Carnarvon flew out with his daughter, and they met Carter there. And once Carnarvon arrived, Carter opened the sealed door. In this area, it looked like it was already raided, which was interesting. So they were already getting a little bit discouraged in this very small portion of the entryway because there was broken pottery. It was pretty empty. It looked like that sealed door was kind of fresh. But they came upon a second door and they decided to open it anyway. So Carter poked a hole in there to put a candle inside the hole just to make sure that the air wasn't toxic to breathe. And once he cleared it with the candle, he poked his eye in there to kind of see what's going on. And famously, Carnarvon asks him, "Can you see anything?" And Carter replies, "Yes, wonderful things." And apparently he saw all kinds of gold chariots, statues, artifacts. In a nutshell, Carter and Carnarvon broke through another sealed door and found the mummy and a lot of other fun things. Over 5,000 artifacts were found, including King Tut's mummy later on. And the way that the tomb is built, there's like an entryway, almost like a foyer. There's another passageway. And then I think there's another passageway, and then you get into the tomb room. So they didn't find the mummy on the first day.
Okay.
They found the mummy on the 29th of November. So it took them almost a month just to clear out that first area.
Yeah, I felt like they had to catalog everything and all that. And wasn't there like 200 different canes in there because like King Tut's leg was kind of messed up for being inbred?
I don't think there was 200, but there was a handful.
Okay, so you have to realize that a bunch of bros just broke into this giant tomb and then they found all these canes in there. So that immediately merits at least 2 to 3 hours of cane sword fighting.
With
Be-
3,000 plus year old canes.
Yeah, something that could have like really shed some light on to what was going on with this ancient child pharaoh, but instead it's a bunch of bros beating each other up with sticks.
I hate all of that, but I could totally see it happening.
Yeah, I hate it too, but yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if that's what went down.
Yikes. All right,
Not
so
that I don't know if it did or not. Don't sue me.
no,
But yeah,
I don't think that it happened. But considering Carter was somebody who was highly esteemed and regarded in his excavation skills, I'm going to say that probably didn't happen, but I could
fair
totally
enough.
see it happening.
Okay.
Once they found all this stuff, they began recording, taking inventory. They were wrapping up artifacts for shipping and moving, which was a feat. On November 29th, like I said, Carter held an official opening of the Tune's antechamber, attended by various Egyptian and foreign notables and a reporter of the London Times. And he hired draftsmen and a chemist and a conservator and a photographer. So once this tomb was found, they had to hire extra people because they realized, holy crap, we need more than just me. We need like scientists and all of these people to figure out how we can make sure that these artifacts do not get ruined. And we need to document all of these things.
Like crap, we actually need some experts.
Yeah, like we need to get some people in here. And another fun fact that I thought was cool, they used nearby tombs for different purposes. So like, for example, one of the tombs was used as a dark room for the photographer, and another tomb, I should say, was used as a laboratory. I thought that was cool. Yeah, that's like a neat little fun fact.
So like they would take pictures of everything and then they would just take it into like this tomb room as a dark room and and develop it?
They would develop it in another tomb that was already excavated.
Huh.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
It does. It makes so much sense logistically, but I thought it was really neat.
Yeah. Unless you're the pharaoh that's been dumped in there and they're like, why are you pouring chemicals on my sarcophagus and developing film? Like, I didn't permit this.
Yeah, but to be fair, a lot of those were already rated.
Fair enough.
All right, so keeping artifacts together was nearly impossible. It took 3 weeks to empty a single casket of the king's clothing. One robe alone sported more than 3,000 gold sequins and 12,000 blue beads, each in the danger of always falling off. So all of these beads and sequins and all of these fancy pieces of clothing, it was really, really difficult to keep it all together in one piece.
Oh, I bet it was like ultra fragile.
Ugh, can you imagine?
Like you just breathe on it and it just disintegrates.
Yeah. And in fact, some of the chariots, they had gold flaking on it. And one of the documentaries I was watching about this, they had a guy is there like a professional in gold restoration, and he was putting it together, and it ended up being gold pieces that were attached to the horse's reins and jaw equipment. I don't know what it's called. I'm not a horse person, but and it all had
the jaw equipment works.
Okay, great.
I think it's called a bridle.
Something like that. Thank you. I'm sorry.
You can
correct me later.
The mouth thingy.
Me. Yeah, the mouth thingy. I'm sorry. Please correct me so I am educated in this. But it was cool because it had artwork and Egyptian propaganda of King Tut being like awesome. And it was thousands of little tiny itty bitty pieces of gold that this dude put together with like a magnifying glass and tweezers. It was stupid.
Now, I will say this though, like at this time in Egyptian history, like ancient Egyptian history, there was no cash environment.
Oh yeah.
So like there was no such thing as like, hey, I have all this gold, give me money.
It's more like gold is a pretty color.
Yeah, it's a pretty color, but it doesn't do anything. It's really soft. Like only thing we can do with it is make more fancy statues, or artifacts or whatever, which I'll get into in my segment. But yeah, like gold was not valued at that time the way that gold is valued today, which I thought that was really fascinating until about the 1550s BCE when the Persians took over. Then it came into a cash system. But yeah, gold back then was just, all right, well, I've got a solid gold toilet in my house. I guess it works.
It's metal.
Yeah, the poop doesn't stick to it as much. It's great.
So while all of this excavating was going on and recording and moving things, Luxor in Thebes, the area, had a huge influx of media people and just tourists. And once word got out, it was everybody swarmed there. So the city was so overran by newspaper dispatches that 3 new telegraph lines were installed directly to Cairo, and a local hospital was turned into a telegraph office as well, just to support it.
Jeez.
Luxor's 2 biggest hotels even set up tents in their gardens, asking guests to sleep on army cots because they were full.
Wow.
It was ridiculous. And in 1923, the media was so difficult to keep up with, Carnarvon eventually sold all of the media rights to their findings to the London Times, much to the chagrin of all of the other media people.
Yeah, bet.
Including the local Egyptian media people.
They're fine. They don't need to know about that.
It's fine. Carter received all kinds of letters, and some letters that I really enjoyed looking into were letters from grocers asking for mummified food. It almost like them thinking it was canned food.
Nice.
But those are some of my favorites. I'm gonna see if I can find like some primary resources and actually read them. But towards the end of February 1923, a rift between Lord Carnarvon and Carter, probably caused by a disagreement on how to manage supervising Egyptian authorities, temporarily halted the excavation. So we had a halt in February 1923, and then eventually a month later it started up again. They probably made up and hugged and fought, or who knows what. I know guys fight and then they hug later, like whatever. Maybe that was
the proper term, Kara, and I don't know if you've ever seen this, but when bros get into a disagreement, they do this thing where they slug it out and then they hug it out.
Yeah.
Like there's something about dudes, like they can be fighting over like a girl or something like that, and they will beat each other to a pulp, and then they're going to be like, "Are you good, man? Yeah, I'm good. Cool. You want to get something to eat? Yeah, let's go. All right, cool, bro. Let's go."
I don't understand it, but good for them.
Hey, it's a guy thing.
As long as it works.
I've never been in that situation where I've had to beat the crap out of somebody just to hug it out, but yeah, it's a bro code. Kind of the same way where you've probably seen it, like when you were in high school. You've known these 2 girls that have hated each other with an undying passion from like preschool.
Yeah, I don't understand that either.
Yeah, like they will girls or women, they will hold on to a hatred for the rest of their lives, whereas bros would be like, all right, well, you knocked out 3 of my teeth, but I broke your nose. Yeah, let's go to the emergency room, get fixed up, and then we'll just go hang out afterwards.
Yeah, see, I respect that more than holding a grudge.
The undying hatred thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's weird.
It's weird.
Yep. Humans are weird.
People are weird, man.
Yeah.
All right, so later in March, Lord Carnarvon got a mosquito bite on his face.
Oh, dear.
And this is important because he did not let it heal before he shaved his face.
What?
Correct. So he like got a mosquito bite and he probably itched it, and then he probably shaved it the next day or like the same day, and then it made it worse, and then it got infected, and then he got blood poisoning, and then he died.
What the crap?
True story.
Okay, I've gotten mosquito bites on my face.
Uh-huh.
And I've shaved.
Uh-huh.
And as far as I can tell, I haven't died. So
he shaved, and then it was an open wound, and then he did excavating in Egypt in the desert with bugs, and he touched God knows what, and then he probably scratched his face, and then he got blood poisoning, and then he died.
Okay. Oh my gosh. It takes a long time to get blood poisoning.
I don't know. That's just what it says it's from.
That's just...
And I checked like 4 or 5 different sources, and they're all like, yeah, this is what did it.
That is wild. What a way to go.
Yeah.
You died via an extra... What's the word I want to use? A overzealous shaving of a mosquito bite.
Yeah.
And that's a human being that is descendant of genetically superior primates that brought him up to that point.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep.
So don't shave, guys. Just don't shave.
If you have a mosquito bite on your face, don't shave and open up the wound and then go dig in a 3,000-year-old excavation area and touch God knows what kind of artifacts and who knows what was on those artifacts, and then you touch your open wound and then that happened.
I feel like that would have been interpreted as a curse.
Yes. He died on April 5th, 1923, and it was a devastating blow to Carter. In fact, digging stopped for a little bit. Carter kind of found himself on his own. Carter and the Carnarvon relationship went like this. So Carter was the scientist guy. He knew what he was doing. Carnarvon was the money. He was charming. He was charismatic. He dealt with the media. He dealt with the business stuff.
Yeah, the politics of it all.
The politics of it all, yes. And Carter was not good at that. Carter didn't like doing that stuff. So now it's all on Carter's shoulders. And in the meantime, after Carnarvon died, what happened was that the news media was so desperate for a story. Like, they needed something to keep selling these newspapers. They turned Carnarvon's death into the curse of King Tut's tomb. And anybody who dug in there died. Well, it's totally made up.
I'll actually touch upon that in my segment.
Okay. Yep, nope. Totally made up. They made it up to sell newspapers. So that really sucks. Anyway, Lady Carnarvon retained her late husband's concession in the Valley of the Kings, which allowed Carter to continue his work. It took nearly 10 years to go through all 4 chambers of the tomb and record everything and move it.
Holy crap. That's like an apartment or a house.
Yep, it took 10 years to record everything and move it to the museums.
That's a lot of canes.
There's a lot of canes, a lot of arrows, a lot of gold. Most of the items went to the Egyptian Museum in Cairo, and then some of it also went to Britain. Some of it went to, I think some of it went to the US. Like, it kind of got split up all over the place.
Yeah, like private collectors and...
Yeah. And then just recently, I want to say in 2020, 2019, somewhere around there, they collected all 5,100 plus items and put them all into a new museum that was being built in Cairo. So they're all now together in a big collection in Egypt as of now. So they finally finished excavating in 1932. And despite his achievements, Carter received no recognition from the British government, which I thought was kind of crappy. Really? He was given some awards by the Egyptian government. He was given an award by Yale and an honorary membership to the Real Academia de la Historia of Madrid.
Real Academia de la Historia of Madrid.
Yeah, that's the one. So he got that. He did get recognition, and nowadays he's very, very looked up to and respected in the archaeological and historical fields for his work.
Okay.
And that is King Tut's tomb.
So this Carter guy, so to make sure we check all the boxes for what we consider a legit dumpster fire, this guy started off with the intent of finding King Tut's tomb.
Uh-huh.
Do we ever know, like, why he was trying to find it? Like, what was the inspiration for him to try to find it?
I think finding a tomb in the Valley of the Kings is just something that's all respected and super fame, and it's just like one of those ultimate goals to find the tomb in the Valley of the Kings.
Gotcha. Well, and what I'm going to get into is how a lot of these tombs got broken into just days after the pharaoh got put into it. So, what I'm assuming what it was is that when Carter started off, he was studying all these different tombs, and he probably noticed that, like, there was no mummy in there, there was no artifacts, there was nothing in there. These were just empty tombs that had been cleared out hundreds, if not thousands of years prior.
Yep.
But he probably saw some hieroglyphs saying, hey, nearby is King Tut. And that's probably what kept him going.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming. I don't know. Because it's not like you or I wake up in the morning and, like, I'm going to find a long lost 3,000 to 4,000 year old tomb. I'm just going to fly out to Egypt with a shovel and a pick and an axe, and I'm going to go find a tomb. So he must have known, based off of prior excursions, he must have known that there was something out there that was not discovered.
Yeah. No, he knew. He had, like, a good educated guess as to there's another one out there.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, in that case, then let's look at some of the history of this tomb robbing. I was originally going to do the second half of this segment, which I'm now going to have to do in 29 minutes because I blabbed for like the first half hour and like you kept your portion in time and I have a propensity to just blab on. I'm going to fly through this.
All right, I'm ready.
A lot of what we think in terms of tomb raiding or tomb robbing or whatever, I think a lot of people really focus on, the 1800s British soldiers coming over, the French soldiers coming over. We think a lot of the 18 and 1900s white people showing up and just white peopling ancient artifact sites and just wrecking everything. Believe it or not, that is a very, very, very tiny amount of the tomb robbing that was going on. Basically put, the issue about trying to protect these pharaohs after they have died literally dates back to a day after pharaoh number 1 died, like thousands of years prior. And something that kind of blew my mind when I was studying this is like, okay, America's been around for 200 plus years. It's been a colony for 500 years. Like you think about it, like America has been around for a long time, and then you're like, oh wow, England's been around for over 1,000 years, and so has France and whatnot. The thing that just blows my mind when I was looking at the time frame is that we are talking about like 3,500 to 4,000 BCE.
Mm-hmm.
When we get to the end of this story, we are looking at like 1061 BCE.
Yeah.
That is a long time
Yeah.
to be presiding over a chunk of land.
Yeah.
Like, it's something that we don't understand. We think about, oh yeah, the Egyptians were here, and then we have some Greeks over there, and then we got some Romans popping up. No, like, the Egyptians were around for 3,000 years before the Common Era, and then they were even around for hundreds of years after the Common Era.
I think that's why timelines are so awesome. Because you can visually see it. You can visually see how big that stupid blue line is where it says Egypt, and it's huge.
Yeah, and what I want to do is like, okay, maybe have some kiddos do a kind of like a timeline of say like ancient Egypt, going all the way up from their rise to their fall.
Oh, they're going to.
And then start overlapping it with things like America's Civil War, America's Revolutionary War, when the Pilgrims left Plymouth Rock and landed in Plymouth Rock, which is strange how they left a rock they already knew and they found the rock that they already knew. But like when you overlap things with the time frames that we are accustomed to as Americans, it's like a blip on the map.
Yes.
To what the Egyptians were doing.
Yes. It's like stupid.
Yeah, it is absolutely wild. But anyways, I digress because that's what I do. So yeah, the issue of tomb robbing was an issue since like day one. And the Egyptians came up with all sorts of creative means to protect their god. The idea was that a pharaoh was the direct embodiment of a god. So all the wealth and riches that they accumulated in their life would be buried with them. So they would have access to them in the afterlife. Right? It's kind of like if I were to croak off right now and I would be buried with all my riches, I would literally be buried with a sticky note with an IOU on it, and like I'll hit you up later on. So yeah, and obviously the longer the pharaoh lives, the more riches they make, and then they get buried with that because they're literally going to need access to that later on. So here's the thing. we've got these pharaohs. It's an industry. It is literally an industry of what to do with dying rich people.
Yep. Yep.
If your job, Kara, is to oversee this billionaire, when he dies, your job is to assume his estate or her estate. Your job is to just assume the responsibility for all of that. Take care of the cremation or take care of the burial process and all that. But your job is also to make sure that those billions of dollars get buried with that guy.
Yay.
I mean, I don't want to question your integrity here, but if your job is to make sure that somebody's buried with billions of dollars, what's $1 million in a paper processing fee?
Yeah.
Like it's a really kind of a gray area. It's one of those things where if I was put in that situation, that'd be kind of tough because like, hey, look, I lived with this guy for the past 20 years of his life. I did everything for him. I built his pyramids or I built his tomb for him. And I did all this stuff for this guy. I feel like I need some sort of stipend or I need something to prove or to show the time I put in.
Okay. Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, because obviously you and I have both been put in that situation numerous times.
Yeah, it's very common.
Yeah. We're sitting on literally dozens of dollars
Loaded.
of that kind of wealth.
Yeah.
Here's the thing though, like once people understood that there was a really, really rich, wealthy guy buried into the side of that hill, the temptation becomes too great. You have to try it. But there were some things that these pharaohs put in place. The big thing, the major period that we're talking about, like that valley or the Valley of the Kings, contains at least 75 tombs. It was only later stages that the Egyptians like presence in the area, or stages of the Egyptian presence in the area. So covering the 18th, 19th, and 20th dynasties, ranging from 1539 to 1075 BCE. So we're talking a time period of almost 400 years. This was like King Tut's era. He fell in, I think he fell in with the 18th to the 20th dynasties.
Mm-hmm.
He was somewhere in
King
there.
Tut was 18th dynasty.
Okay, so he was in the beginning of the New Kingdom era.
Yeah.
And so the idea with the Valley of the Kings was to create like a safe and secure location where they could bury their dead pharaohs, and that like all expenses must be utilized to make the tombs as robber proof as possible. All right, cool. So how do you regulate that? Well, you create social norms or social expectations. If I go out and kill someone, the expectation is that I get thrown in jail or whatever. But if I don't get thrown in jail, then what is the family of the person that I killed gonna do? They're gonna come after me.
Mm-hmm.
I would hope, unless the guy was an absolute douche.
Well,
then that's a different story.
Yeah. Okay.
So what the pharaohs did was a lot of social engineering. And so what they did is they kind of set up a broad set of punishments if you get caught, basically going like full on Laura Croft in one of these tombs. Yeah, you start stealing stuff. Here's a list of mild, temperate, slightly uncomfortable forms of punishment.
Okay.
So yeah, they could lead off with death by impalement.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, beheading.
Good.
Fair
Quick.
enough. I mean, that's
quick.
yeah, it's quick.
It's classic. It's a classic one.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been going on forever. Disembowelment.
Oh.
That's
Okay.
that would suck. I
Mm-hmm.
would very much like to die with my intestines in my stomach cavity.
Mm-hmm.
Having an arm or a leg cut off.
I feel like that's also classic.
It is like kind of being drawn and quartered, but they would just remove one arm or a leg.
Yeah.
And then they would burn the stump so that it wouldn't keep bleeding.
Oh god.
So yeah, that would suck, like, after the first 2 seconds. Having your hands and or feet cut off.
All of them?
That's actually something that is going on to this day in really undeveloped nations.
Yep.
Like, if if a woman was caught cheating on their husbands, they would have, like, a hand cut off or a foot cut off, and, like, you don't realize it, but if you only have 1 foot and the other leg is just a bloody stump, it's really hard to walk.
Yikes.
Yeah, I recommend 10 out of 10 orthopedic surgeons highly recommend that you keep your hands and feet attached.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yep,
Let's
keep
do
them in
that.
the vehicle at all times.
Yeah.
Then there's good old fashioned beatings.
Mm-hmm.
So that's okay, fair enough. We get that. And then there was all sorts of other torture that people could think of, like burning and flaying and also all sorts of stuff. So, all right, cool. The pharaohs have clearly established a pretty severe consequential system if you choose to break into these tombs. So if that didn't work, like if that wasn't a deterrent, they came up with some other stuff. They constructed hieroglyphic curses. They were put up like all over the place as harsh reminders that you're not allowed to be here, and if you take something, then your life will be cursed. These curses went so far as to curse families for generations. Let's say if your family has been dirt poor for generations, it might be traced back to a distant ancestor stealing something from a tomb he or she shouldn't have been in.
Oh, lovely.
So yeah, if your finances are an absolute disaster today, who knows? Maybe in the 1920s you had a relative steal something from a tomb and you're now cursed.
Wow. I would be so upset.
Yeah, for me, it's a lifestyle. I've gotten used to it.
Fair enough.
So the curses would also extend to the afterlife, meaning you could be punished or enslaved for eternity after you're dead. So, okay, that's pretty persuasive. The issue is this. The downside to curses is that they had to be read to get the full effect. So
Mhm.
just because you broke into a tomb and take something, that is not going to curse you. The issue is you've got to break into the tomb and you see in like bright, like neon lights or whatever, hey, if you take anything from here, I'm going to curse your family for 10,000 years.
Okay.
The problem is that languages change. So even if you were to break into a tomb, say 1,000 years after that pharaoh died, you're not going to know what those hieroglyphs mean.
Fair.
Yeah, you're just going to take your crap and go. So yeah, it didn't quite work out that well. There was another way of trying to prevent these tombs from being broken into. And this was really prominent in the Valley of the Kings. So like the 1500 BCE to like 1075 or 1061 BCE. The other way that you could protect these tombs is by not saying it's a tomb.
Ah. Yeah?
Like literally just bury me in an unmarked tomb.
Yep, just an unmarked grave.
Yeah, like if they don't know I'm here, then they can't do anything. And so, like a lot of these tombs, like King Tut, for example, there's some theories out there that indicate that he was like the reason why he was never found from day one is because he was accidentally entombed in the wrong place. So he died really, really young, and he was obviously having a tomb kind of cut out for him, but it takes like decades to make one of these things. So then when he bit the dust, everybody's like, well, crap, we don't have anything ready for him. And then you remember that dude,
Yeah.
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 Yep. So I was like, okay, I've been working on my tomb now for like 10 plus years. That one's more developed. throw them in there.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is that there was also a lot of other sites that were being worked on, and they may have put him in the wrong one,
Solid.
which is the reason why nobody could find him, including Carter, because he had evidence from other tombs like, hey, behold, there's this King Tutankhamun somewhere around here.
Mm-hmm.
And so what they would do is they would entomb them in like a false wall, so you would not have any idea.
Yeah.
Like, they would build these lavish apartments. It basically, yeah, they're multi-room tombs, and then you would get to the very end and you're like, wow, this is the master suite. There's a spa, there is a bed, there's some fuzzy handcuffs over there in that jar, or whatever, right? So people would get in there, but they would not see a sarcophagus. They would not see a mummified body. And so people would be like, all right, well, this one got raided. We're just going to take the jar full of fuzzy handcuffs and leave.
Yeah.
Not knowing that just on the other side of the wall is where that pharaoh has been buried.
You can actually see one of those in one of the photos that they have. When they excavated King Tut's tomb, you can see the false wall, and they knocked it down.
That's where I was really mistaken, because I thought they used dynamite to get into his tomb. Maybe that took place on other ones, but yeah, as far as I understand, they did not blow the crap out of King Tut's tomb.
No.
But they did kind of have to tear down some walls and
Yeah.
and whatnot. But hey, you do you. You found a tomb from a while ago. The one thing I really do want to impress upon everybody, to all of our listeners, there were no mechanical booby traps. So, like, we've all seen Indiana Jones, right? You pick up this little weird artifact, and then a minute later, there's a 20,000 ton rock ball chasing you down a hallway. There was none of that. There were no secret weapons that if you stepped in the wrong spot, it would shoot an arrow at you. There were no pits with spikes in it. There was none of that. That's one thing I really want to kind of get across out there is a huge myth. Really, when we're looking at the Valley of the Kings, the goal was to bury the pharaoh in there with all of his belongings, but hide it, not make it so that people could find it.
Okay, yeah.
And to me, I feel like that's the most logical.
Yeah.
You know, if I don't want anybody to know where I'm at, let's say I take my piggy bank with like 200 pennies in it, and I want to be buried with my $2 in pennies, then, and I'm super worried that I'm going to be dug up and my $2 in pennies will be taken with me, then just bury me in the middle of nowhere with no indication, no marker or anything.
Solid.
And so, yeah, like, I will have my 200 pennies for forever. There was another method, though, and this is the dumpster fire. On top of Carter, like, dealing with his stuff in the 1920s. Okay, I think you and I, by now, we have come across a set of criteria that counts as a dumpster fire. 1, there's a problem that needs to be addressed. 2, you need to find a solution for that problem.
Mm-hmm.
3, or 3.1, or whatever, you need to look at that solution for that problem, and you need to figure out and calculate every single possible contingency, every variable, every incident, everything that could possibly go wrong. And you need to have a game plan for that set in place.
Okay.
Right? I feel like that's kind of like a rough estimate of the qualifications that you have to meet to be on our show.
I'd say that's accurate.
Yeah. Okay. So the big thing is that as soon as you implement that plan, it all just goes up in flames.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, what was his name? Amanakin? Akunaman?
Yeah, close enough.
That guy. This guy, at around like 1541, he had an idea. Like, because the tomb robbing was so prevalent, he's like, okay, let's build a city. Let's build a city at the base of the Valley of the Kings. So anybody who was going to go into this valley had to go through the city and they had to get permission, or they had to prove that they were, an architect or a stonemason or a heavily armed guard that would oversee the construction of the tombs and or protect the tombs with their lives.
Okay.
So they created a city, and by like today's Arabic translation, I believe it's called, oh boy, I'm gonna butcher this. Deir el Medina.
I think that's the one that I butchered earlier. I just skipped it. That's the
Oh,
one I butchered
really?
earlier. I just
Yeah.
skipped it.
Oh
Yeah,
my gosh, I see you just highlighted it.
I did.
That was creepy because I felt
Sorry
like
for
my
sorry for the
computer was
folks.
possessed.
No, my bad.
No, you're good. So yeah, the Arabic term was I don't know if it's da'ir. I think it's da'ir. I feel like in Arabic you put an extra syllable in a four-lettered word. But yeah, it's like Da'ir el Medina, and this was a city that was constructed in 1541, and then it was basically decommissioned in 1061.
Mm-hmm.
I think its real name was called Set Ma'at. Yeah, Set Ma'at, because the apostrophe is kind of like a modern day hyphen, or in essence, the place of truth.
Okay.
All right, cool. And this was set just outside of Thebes, or by today, it's Luxor, but it's like kind of north and slightly to the west. It's like if you were to walk out of Set Ma'at or Da'ir el Medina, it's like an hour's walk away.
Okay.
So you could leave this city and go into Thebes or modern day Luxor, within an hour. And so, in true dumpster fire fashion, this city was so well thought out. There was nothing that could go wrong. So the idea was that the pharaohs would be like, "Hey, look, guys, your husband, wives, children, you all can live here free of charge." Right. But the expectation is that if you are a skilled worker, the expectation is that one, you will continue to keep fabricating and engineering new and cool tombs. The other expectation is that the remainder of you, especially you big dudes with like swords and spears and stuff, you are to defend this valley with your lives as necessary.
Okay.
In return, the pharaoh would be like, "Hey, I will give you food, I will give you water, I will give you materials upon which you can fabricate clothing or tools or whatever." And the reason why that arrangement was initially established is because, one, the city had absolutely zero resources. Like, yeah, we could say the city was a dumpster fire, but it lasted for 400 years, which is like longer than America's been here. Which is again kind of mind-blowing, but it's still a dumpster fire. I'm still quoting as a dumpster fire. And the reason why is that the city had zero resources. So it had no access to water. It was really far away from the Nile. It was literally in the middle of rock. Because of that, they couldn't grow any crops. They couldn't raise any animals because there was no crops and no water. It had no access to any metals or anything that could be produced, so they couldn't mine anything. Like, the city couldn't produce anything, and it literally had nothing to offer other than a bunch of stonemasons who could carve out tomb after tomb skillfully.
Jeez.
So yeah, basically put, there was absolutely nothing that a city could do. Now, if you look by modern day standards, a successful city has multiple different outputs. Everything
Right.
from manufacturing to education to resources like water or metals. Like, the idea of a successful city today is that they can produce everything that people would want in the surroundings. And this city had none of that. They had absolutely nothing. They could not produce a single thing.
Boy. Yeah, that's not sustainable.
Yeah, like it was like I don't want to say they were enslaved because there's actually a lot of research that is now showing like the pyramids and a lot of these tombs. Old textbooks were saying, well, yeah, because they were slaves that built all this. But there's a lot of research indicating that no, they were not slaves. These were people that were legitimately dedicated to the cause. But in a situation like the the Deer, what is it? That city.
That one city.
Yeah, that place.
Yeah.
I actually kind of like it by its Egyptian name, Set Ma'at.
It's easier.
I'm going to go with that. Set Mat, because I'm an American. So yeah, like the idea was that hey, we will starve you and but we will feed you and give you resources handsomely if you keep producing tombs and you use our garrison to defend the tombs. So, there was one thing that this city produced above all other things, like all over Egypt, all up and down the Nile River. What was the one thing do you think they produced more than any other city in all of Egypt?
Sand.
Close. It's rough and it's coarse and it gets everywhere.
Grave robbers.
That was my Star Wars episode 1 or 2 joke.
It's pretty good.
It was terrible. Just dislike the first movie. But anyways.
Dang.
But yeah, you're right. Because you're following along with the notes.
Correct.
Literally, this is the dumpster fire part of it. Is that, yeah, no, they couldn't produce anything. They couldn't manufacture anything. But boy, did they have some good access to the best tomb robbers in all of the land. Since Egypt was a cashless state, the idea was that, and actually let me backtrack a little bit. So quite often the people who constructed the tombs also knew how to access them. They knew where the sarcophaguses were. They knew where everything was being stored. And they knew where you could find unlimited wealth and resources every single time a pharaoh died. And because they were starved, they were now in a position where, like, well, screw this pharaoh died. I'm just gonna rob it. And then just walk a couple miles down the road, down to Thebes, and just trade all that in for food.
There you go. Done.
And so, like, yeah, there's a story out there where, like, there was later on there was a guard who he got arrested for tomb robbing, and then he literally wrote like, yeah, no, we raided this one tomb and we got all this copper and gold, which again the gold wasn't really worth much, but yeah, they took all these resources and he got caught. And so, like, he's like, okay, cool. Here's some copper from the tomb. You willing to turn a blind eye? Yeah, sure. Yeah. Give us 20 pieces of copper and you're good to go. All right, cool. So he hands him over the copper. He goes back to his cohort, sets Ma'at, and yeah, they divvied up their findings, and he made off with a ton of money or a ton of resources.
Jeez.
And it was blatant. It was absolutely, especially in the later on years, nobody cared. Like, people legit didn't care.
Wow.
My favorite thing was gold artifacts. Like, because I've mentioned a couple of times now, like, gold wasn't a part of their monetary system. It wasn't until the Persians took over in like 500 BCE that it turned into a cash system. Like, hey, you want to buy a chicken? It's $5. You want to buy a cart? It's $500, right? Where everything can be associated with a price tag that didn't exist at that time. You know, between 1500 and 1061, it was a lot of bartering. Like, hey, you need my copper so that you can make some tools. So why don't you give me, like, a cow? I'll give you all my copper, and then we're good to go.
There you go.
The issue was gold was absolutely useless. and a lot of these tombs had a lot of gold in them.
Yeah.
So what these engineers, like these people that lived in this city, what they would do is they would obviously manufacture like gold artifacts, gold statues, and all that kind of stuff. The pharaoh dies, they bury the pharaoh, and then they decorate the room with all these fancy gold scepters and gold masks, gold artifacts, and whatnot. They would then wait a couple of days and then walk right into that guy's tomb, disassemble the whole entire thing. They would take all the gold artifacts and statues and scepters and masks and whatnot. They would then walk over to Thebes, where they would melt it down.
Oh.
In the process of melting it down, they're like, cool. Yeah, we've got like 80 pounds of solid gold here. Here's this food, here's this water, here's wood, here are these resources for you to survive. The people that would melt that gold down would then go into a facility or a building that would make new scepters, new masks, new statues, because each pharaoh kind of had like a characteristic look to them. So they would go create these new statues and artifacts and whatnot, get paid a lot of money or a lot of resources from the pharaoh for doing such a good job.
Mm-hmm.
Then they would hand them all back to the same freaking guards that stole the original artifacts to begin with. And then when that pharaoh died, because they really didn't have a long lifespan, when that pharaoh died, they would bury that pharaoh in the tomb, put all these facts or artifacts around, and put these masks on and these scepters and whatnot. And then 2 days later, the guards go in, clean the place of all the gold, hike it over to Thebes, melt it down, get a ton of resources, and the process starts over again and again and again.
That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
And this literally started like a year after the city was founded. Just blatant corruption. It got to the point where hey, yeah, you've got a husband.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say you bite the dust, but you're worth like $500 million. And so you get buried with $500 million. Your husband would be like, hey, she was my wife. I feel like I probably need to get a cut of that. Like, that's part of my wife. And I'm not saying your husband is greedy, but I'm just using this as an example here, that if you bite the dust and you're worth $500 million, you yourself would be like, I want this to go to my husband. I want this to go to my siblings. I want this to go to my parents or whatever.
Yeah.
And so what would happen after a pharaoh died, the customs would dictate, bury him with everything that he owned. But the families would be like, whoa, wait. I knew this person. He was my brother. I was his sister. I was his mother, father, whatever, spouse. And so a lot of these people they would actually go and pay the tomb robbers to go steal their dead loved one's stuff back, so that when the next person died in the family, they could be buried with that.
It's ridiculous. It's just, all of it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's just amazing. Like, the greed, the human greed, never, there's no point of origin and there's no point of end.
Yeah.
So basically what actually happened towards its later years was the first recorded worker strike. So I think it was in like 1100 BCE, 1150 BCE. Yeah, these people decided to stop what they were doing, because here at this time the new kingdom was winding down, right? It was getting too bureaucratic. There wasn't, like, they were being attacked. The new kingdom was being attacked on multiple different fronts. There wasn't enough resources to go around. And so it was the El Medina that was suffering. Like, the delivery payments were being delayed more and more and more. They were probably being hauled by trucking companies that you and I are very familiar with. They probably all just got T-called everywhere.
Oh, God.
for the audience out there, if you don't know what a tea call is, you're fine. But it's the reason why when you go into a store to go buy like your TV or whatever, and it's not there, I guarantee you it's in a yard somewhere.
In a truck. Yeah.
And so yeah, there was actually a straight up there was a straight up strike. It's the first recorded strike in human history. And everybody stopped working and they all marched into Thebes, and they said they would not be doing any more work until they got paid accordingly. Yes, they were eventually paid accordingly, but the shipments were more and more delayed. There were more and more pharaohs being buried elsewhere. The tomb robbing was a very productive, very successful industry. It was just instantly highly corrupted.
Nonsense.
And so, literally, in 1061, the city was abandoned because of too much tomb robbing.
Nonsense.
And it was literally shut down because it didn't go according to plan. Yeah, it remained abandoned until some Coptic monks. I have no idea what a Coptic monk is. I need to study that.
Same.
Yeah, because anything with Coptic in it, I mean, helicopters, yeah. But there were some Coptic monks that moved in around the 4th century CE. So now we're talking like 1400 years later. Some monks moved in, and then after that, the city lay abandoned. But yeah, literally, there's hieroglyphs that said that this city's being shut down because it didn't go according to plan.
Oh man, that's amazing.
that is literally, and I know it took 400 years for it to go down, but I'm sorry, that is a valley of the dumpster fire, in my opinion.
Yeah. No, I can agree.
Yeah, like they thought they had everything figured out. Like, there's nothing that could go wrong with this plan. We starve them, they keep working, we give them resources, not realizing that those same people that you are paying are robbing the crap out of you when you die and making more of a lifestyle than what you could possibly imagine because you thought this was a good idea.
Hey, it was a good idea on paper.
Yeah. Again, it's like communism. It looks really good on paper, but in practice,
doesn't work.
This doesn't work. And this is a perfect example of that. And so, yes, it's a 400-year long dumpster fire. But when I read that, because I had full intentions of going into like why people eat powdered mummies and stuff like that. But when I came across this city and I was reading into it, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is an ancient Egyptian dumpster fire, like textbook.
Epic.
Yeah. I feel like you could make a movie or like a TV series, kind of like Game of Thrones, but it would be like the City of Truth and just go into all the shenanigans and chicanery that went on in the process of trying to be honest and truthful to your pharaoh and create the most opulent tomb that nobody could break into.
Just to bring it to it.
And then 2 days later, you just rob the crap out of it.
Yeah, perfect.
So yes, that is my contribution to our little episode here. I kept it within 30 minutes or so, 40 minutes.
You good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the first time we've tried doing like a format where you have a segment and then I have a segment. And usually my segments go for 2 hours, like i.e. Oppie's Demon Core episode.
Yeah, that was a long one.
That was a long one. There was a lot in that one. Like, you walk out of there and you are certified to work on nuclear chemistry.
Just before you listen to it, get a notebook out.
Yeah. So yeah, that's our follow up to King Tutt's genetic train wreck, and yeah, I would say stay tuned. We are going to be releasing this one here pretty soon. Actually, if you're listening to it, we have released it, and then hopefully by Friday the 21st, I will have our Oppenheimer Manhattan Project Demon Core episode out.
Excellent.
And then from there, I'm going to work on the Hubble Space Telescope, a multi-billion-dollar fail because somebody ground the mirror incorrectly within like the width of a human hair, and that was expensive.
Oh,
So,
gosh.
so what are you working on?
Oh, I have no idea.
Because I thought you were
Still,
going to do something with the art history or the art restoration,
I'm still playing with that.
like Potato Jesus and.
Yeah, no, it hasn't left my radar, but I'm still playing with it. I don't know yet. I haven't decided yet. I kind of want to get out of the ancient world a little bit because I've been
Yeah, I know.
knee deep in ancient history for like a month.
You're like, I would kill for an iPhone right now.
Well, it's more like I'm writing curriculum and I'm jumping from ancient history into the Renaissance into like World War II. And it's hurting my brain a little bit. So I'm going to try and line myself up just a little bit better.
You know what? I had an idea, and I know we discussed this when we were first creating the podcast. And we never like really nailed anything down or set anything in stone. But I think a really interesting episode would be crimes that went bad.
Oh, I'm staring at it right now. The title on our spreadsheet is Stupid Crimes.
like these guys thought they could plan out the Ocean's 11 grade heist, and within 5 minutes they were arrested and thrown in jail. Oh, Vegas. Like the people that tried in the 60s and the 70s to try to cheat the casinos.
Oh, yeah.
And then they would always get caught.
Yeah.
So that gets you out of the ancient history stuff.
That does. I'll think about it. I'm not gonna make a decision right now because I'm tired, but I am gonna think about it.
Yeah, right now the biggest dumpster fire in my life is the fact that I have no sleep.
Yeah.
So I'm not even awake enough to put out this fire, so we're just gonna let it burn.
We're just gonna let it happen. That's right.
So.
Oh, Henry VIII.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
But that's pretty ancient, though.
Not as ancient as Egypt.
True.
That one's speaking to me. I think I'm gonna do Henry VIII.
That's gonna be like an 8-parter.
I'm gonna try and make it 2.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't wanna bore everybody too much with the medieval nonsense, but it's Henry VIII.
Yeah, but you gotta go into like how he thought, like, hey, here's my grand plan. I'm gonna get rid of my brother's wife. I'm gonna separate from the Catholic Church, name myself ruler of England, and then I'm going to, from here, have a long, illustrious history of producing healthy, strong male babies that will rule this kingdom for generations to come.
Oh, yeah, and he only had Elizabeth II. Which...
Well, no, he had Mary.
Elizabeth I. He had Mary. Queen of
Yeah, he had
Scots.
Mary. She was around for a little bit. Then he had that illegitimate son. And, like, he was, like, what, 8 or 9 or something like that when he took over. And then he died from sickness.
I was say, didn't he die?
Yeah. Well, yeah, he had to because then Elizabeth took over.
Yeah. Who's a rock star. Anyway. I'm going to highlight. Boom.
There we go.
Decided. Real time. You guys just listen to the entire choosing strategy of
this is the complicated, very specific methodology upon which we figure out our next episodes. It's very formal. There's a voting process. There's committees involved.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then 2 minutes later we have an idea.
Done. All done.
Alrighty.
Well, friends.
That was a fun episode. That was really cool. I like doing that.
That was good.
Yeah. So yeah, we're gonna call it a night. Guess we'll catch you all here in a little bit.
Yep. We'll see you guys later.
And keep it a hot mess.
Bye.